Hey, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Happy Monday to you, and welcome to another broadcast of the Straightway Apologist. My name is B Man. I'll be your host for today. I think we have a very interesting topic to discuss today. I hope my cohorts will be here sometime soon. If not, it'll just be me and you. All right. As always, if you are on YouTube and you wish to join the discussion, I will post a link in the chat section on YouTube. You can click that link and come on stage with us and let us hear what you have to say. Okay, we are in non-confrontational. We try to be anyway. Try to be as courteous and polite to our guests as possible. Of course, as always, we are, you know, we have our moments when we, of course, get opinionated. That goes for me and you. So that's understood. And of course, we'll try to keep that to a minimum whenever possible. All right. So today's discussion is: does God want us to be colorblind or color conscious? Does God want us to be colorblind or color conscious? All right. And for those of you who are on YouTube, I have pinned the discussion link in YouTube on the top of the comment section. GY, what's going on, man? How you be?
Doing all right, brother. How's it going, man?
It's a Monday, brother. It's a Monday.
Yeah, it is. That's good, though.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I know. Say happy Monday, man. I know. Say happy Monday to the folks out there. So
Yeah, man. It's
the
a happy
beginning of
Monday.
work week. So we take that for what it's worth.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So how was your week, man?
Well, it's getting started, so far so good.
How was your weekend? I should say. How was your weekend?
Weekend was good. It blinks, man. It blinks.
Oh yeah.
It blinks. For all intents and purposes, what I can remember, it was a good weekend. So we'll take it.
Well,
Yeah,
that you can remember.
yeah. All that. From what I can remember, we had a good
so,
service today.
so,
Good
so,
message.
so sounds like you weren't in your right mind for all that you could remember.
Nah, man. It just blurs, man.
Yeah,
It just blurs.
it comes and goes, huh?
Hmm. So
Yeah,
if there's nothing, negative to stand out, I can remember. It was a good weekend.
yeah. Same here, man. Same here. Not much, I always say, a boring life is a good life. You know, uh, too much drama gives you headaches, man.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh man.
If your life is just steady and boring, that can be a good thing.
No, man. It's like you said, but boring is good. Well, boring to, I guess, to how others may identify it. Yeah, I'll take boring.
Yeah.
Take boring, quiet. That mean things are good enough to be bored.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All
Right.
right. The topic for today is: does God want us to be colorblind or color conscious?
That's interesting.
Yeah, it is. It is. let me ask this question just to stir some conversation. Um, how would you define the race? What is racial, or say how do I? Yeah, what is race? I guess that's the simplest way to really ask that question.
Hmm. In personal definition, I would identify race as a commonality between a group of people.
Commonality. So commonality. What's up, Captain?
Hey,
Gentlemen,
you said
gentlemen.
my definition.
Yeah.
Oh,
I'm not asking for a dictionary definition.
yeah.
Discussion, and so I like to kind of flush things out, trying to get to the root of why you would say that. It's not like I don't agree with it, just for conversational sake. So,
Yeah.
uh, uh, so commonality between folks. So, of course, that's based on what I mean, it's obvious, but just
No, well, I mean, it's based on what the commonality is, what's held in common. If I would just say, yeah, race. I would identify race as a commonality between a group of people, and then um, whatever thread of you know what you would identify is in common or consistent between, especially a large group of people, or um, I would say that's a race.
mm, okay.
That's probably I know that's probably very broad, but that's kind of how I would put it.
Commonality. Uh, so let's say for people of African descent, uh, you're saying commonality. So it's basically just the complexion, right? For example, between the three of us, we're there's some darker than others and some lighter than others. So in that sense, we're not common, right?
Right.
But so I mean, to what degree then would you say that race plays a significant part of being having things in common?
Well, I think what you associate that commonality to be, right? Like
Hmm.
you can like you use the skin complexion component, right? So um you can say that because we all share African origins, um, you know, to some capacity, right? Then we can say we are an African race. So that's the easiest one, right? From a ethnic standpoint or from a complexion standpoint. Um, but I also think that like you have and also like I think it's also kind of a connotation to like location too.
Mm,
You know, because then just because we're all, we say we're all of African descent. Now you actually put into a country, right? Like Nigeria. I mean, I think Nigerians would identify themselves as a race too. Now, like we're African descent, but we're probably not Nigerian. You know what I'm
right.
saying? So it just, I guess, kind of
Yeah. Well,
brings the
so
in there.
okay, so that brings up a point, and I'll get to you, Smirker, Captain,
I
in a minute.
didn't say nothing in there,
Yeah,
man. I didn't say
but yeah,
nothing.
that look on your face. Okay, so what's the difference then? How would you categorize race and ethnicity? Because I think, from my point of view, you kind of you hinted at it
Um,
as far as the ethnic part of it, where it's the Nigerians, they would consider themselves blah blah blah, right?
yeah,
But within the African diaspora, you do have different ethnic groups, if you will.
yeah,
So the racial thing is one thing, but the ethnicity would be different, right?
sure, I could say that. Yeah, I think yeah. You can say there's different ethnic groups. But I just think you just start breaking things. I think that's just a distinction among some, you know what I'm saying, another distinction that you can label, like, because I wouldn't take, so all right, let's go with the same example, like, you talk about dark complexion, African diaspora, but there is a distinction between Nigerian or country or Nigerian race, which I think they would identify themselves as a Nigerian race. I don't know. But that same thing wouldn't apply like in an American context. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know, maybe. Are Texas, is there a race of Texans?
What are your thoughts, Captain?
Are Canadians, is Canadian like a race? No, it's that moves into like now hey, it depends on how you want to put the distinctions. I think you can, if someone wants to put race as a label on that, correlating that to nation or aspect, sure, but it's all distinctions and kind of how you utilize the English language in that aspect.
Okay. Thoughts, Captain, on the difference between race, ethnicity?
Man, I mean, my thought is, I think the designations, or even to try to figure that out, it's gonna lead you to a circular kind of path where it's gonna be hard to get up. Once you get on that wheel, it's gonna be hard to get off. The reason being, for me, I think the designations are unfortunate.
Okay.
And the reason why I think they're unfortunate is because the principle that we follow and we live by the Savior that we follow, he says, this is what Paul says. Paul says, man, God made of one blood all nations, and he does say nations as though there are many, and there are, because in the beginning of things, in somewhere in the Middle Eastern Mesopotamian area where now modern day Iraq is, there was a little place called Eden where two people were put there. And initially, those two people were totally together, and every person that came from them were together until distinctions became to be made, not based on the content of your character, even the color of your skin, but by the language people spoke. And there was a particular reason for that, why that happened. Now, if you think about this for a second, and this is me, because I was trying to think about this topic, and I say, well, we really getting us, this is to me a lovely topic because it brings up points maybe we really need to consider. People born in the Middle East and modern day Iraq, in that particular climate and area, from a development or a genetic standpoint, we cannot say with any certainty that they were lily white or that they were absolutely as dark as the night. Only thing we can say with some relative certainty is to get all races, there had to be some type of a mixture, and most people, from a genetic standpoint, trying to trace it back, say there must be some mid-brown tan or some mid-brown, and you're just talking about the color of somebody's skin. And when you ask the question as to what does God want colorblind or want us colorblind or color conscious, my thought immediately went to, okay, I'll go to basic biology and basic biophysical anatomy and development. Color. Why did the maker, the designer of the universe, give mankind trichromatic color vision? Which means basics of our vision is not the basic of primary color. Primary color is red, blue, and yellow, right? In art and stuff like that. But our color is red, green, and blue, and from how we deal with light, how our vision, our eyes deal with light. And because of this trichromatic nature of what our retinas do, and the cones in the back of our eyes, we have those three types of cones back there. And we can see upwards of 1 to 10 million different colors and distinctly be able to tell them. And that means when you look at creation, the creatures on our planet, we are in the ranks of beings with some of the best color vision in the world, in the created world. We're not, however, the top. The top created being with color vision is a mantis shrimp.
What?
It's got a mantis shrimp that has 10 to 16 different types of cones and can see upwards of 100 million different kind of colors. And he has the best, this shrimp, and I'm a shrimp guy. The best shrimp has the best color vision that there is. Next to that is birds. Next to that is some butterflies and some other creatures. And we are kind of down the line. But God deliberately, in creating us, gave us excellent color vision. I think he did it on purpose. And I think he intended us. I'm gonna answer the question right off the bat. I don't think because if you look at other animals, dogs don't have color vision like we do. Dogs got dichromatic, they can see two different, they have red cones and blue, I think. They don't see everything we see. A lot of animals are colorblind completely. They cannot see color at all. But that's not how the human being was created. His vision is trichromatic, and he got that excellent kind of vision. I believe God did it on purpose, and his doing is saying something to us about how we should be.
Okay, so having biologically the ability to see, as you said, up to 10 million.
Yeah, some people argue it's 1 million to 10 million. I was reading
Right.
this. A lot of people say different things, but for sure it's at least 1 million different colors.
Okay,
Up
so
to 10 million.
that's having the ability to see across that spectrum, if you will. Okay, but the biology of who we are, is race a biological factor, or is it something that society came up with? For example,
Good question.
you know, if you look at the human genome, the differences between human beings, is less than 0.01%.
That's true.
I think between humans and our closest animal relative, the ape, things like 98%. So that's like 2% difference or something like that, which would be almost 2,000%. If you're looking at the 0.01, and with the apes, that's like 2,000% difference. But between us as human beings, even though we have the capacity to see, as you said, up to 1 million, different within that spectrum from 0 to 1 million. But the difference in us biologically is 0.01%. Why is that 0.01% so important?
I believe it's important because that's a very humbling thing what you just said. I believe it's important because God is in the principle of the God we serve is that don't get your head big because I've given you a different kind of soul, different kind of spirit, different kind of things above the creatures you ought to dominate. But understand, I did that. I made you different on purpose. I believe it's so that I'm stumbling because I'm stuck on what the question you asked. I believe the thing about race, we had a lot to do with that. I don't believe God did that. I believe we did.
Mm-hmm.
I believe that the distinctions we've made have not bonded us together, but have separated us.
Okay, so that 0.01% difference in the human genome, right? So that's what we can physically see, the tone, the skin tone, the hair texture, et cetera, et cetera. Again, 0.01%. It's not that, so it's not that humans don't have hair or skin, right? We all have it, but that 0.1% difference seems to be the thing that we focus on to say you're either inferior or I consider myself superior to you.
And that's where we blew it.
That.
And that's where we blew it. You think about this for a second. It's very likely that the hues of our skin developed environmentally or evolutionarily, microevolutionary. Now, I'm not a macroevolution guy. I'm not a Darwin guy. But from a micro standpoint, if I'm in a different climate, my melanin content may need to be different just to thrive in the climate that I moved to.
Mm-hmm.
when we are all in one climate, all dealing with one cyclic exposure of ultraviolet light, the amount of melanin needed was uniform because we're all there experiencing the same thing. But what happens when we move north, south, east, or west? Microevolutionary wise, that's an adaptation to where we went. And all of a sudden now, when I come back or meet somebody different, now all of a sudden, wait a minute, you're brighter than me, you're darker than me, and now all of a sudden that's a problem.
Right. So if
We did that.
If race is not a biological factor in the human experience, why do we place such a high value on it?
See, well, they're real quiet now.
Oh man, I ain't quiet. I don't let y'all talk, man.
Yeah. But why? I mean, really, I think my brother. I think our. Okay, I'm a black man, right? Am I proud to be a black man? Yes, I am. I mean, does that mean that I'm superior to every other person who does not have my black genetic makeup? Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
Devil's advocate.
Matter of fact, I didn't have anything to do with. I didn't have anything to do with what I am right now. I had no input into what I am right now when I was born. Go ahead, sir. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was gonna say something, but you kind of stole the sting of what I was gonna. Yeah, about being superior. And trust me, by no means do I believe this, right? But if you look at like let's say sports, right? You have certain races that excel in certain sports, right? Does that mean? And I'm going somewhere with this. Does that mean that is a biological,
black people jump high?
Racial? Well, you know, is that a racial component to why you have certain races that may excel in certain sports or fields of studies, or is that a societal thing?
I don't know.
Because since race is only that 0.01% of the human makeup, why is it that it seems as if certain fields you look into, you'll see majority one race, or let's say even ethnic group, if you will, that will excel in that particular endeavor?
Okay, it sure look like it.
Yeah. Well, the truth of the matter is, all of these, the potentiality for excelling in a particular thing. Let's say how fast you can run. Really ends up how fast a group of people can run. Really, that stuff develops physiologically and evolutionary wise, microevolutionary wise, over a process of time as a result of the need of that particular group of people in the geographic area they have migrated to, wherever they are, to need this particular, and over time, to need this particular skill in order to thrive and survive and to multiply.
You said black people had to run?
Black people had to run. Black people had to run. Well, I mean, it's not that evaluations have not been done and samplings and from a histological standpoint or from a muscle fiber development standpoint, it's not. And people, now this is actually true from a physiological standpoint. There have been assessments and comparisons done to try to look at why, let's say Michael Jordan got the hops he's got with his legs he's got. You look at his calves and his legs. He got very long Achilles tendon structure, comes up to very small compact calf, and this guy's got. Why is this guy can jump so high? Why are these guys? Why was it that Spud Webb was 5 feet something and could jam like he could jam? You look at his muscle fiber, you know why. You look at how his calves were developed. He had a superior genetic.
Superior
genetic. Well, think about it. How tall was Spud Webb?
What, 5'3", 5'4", something like that? And
then he won a slam dunk competition. Like, how many times did he win it? I don't even know. Because he could, I mean, he's 5'3", 5'4", whatever it was, but he could jam in a fashion that he kept winning. So people ask, why is it? What's going on with that guy's calves and what's going on with his muscles? His fiber type was more complex than most people. Now that's a result of genetic that's a gene pool doing that. But what I'm saying is, it's an adaptation. It happened over a process of time, and God says, here, this is what we're doing. And I think when it comes to, if you look at the overall and overreaching thing, the groups of people develop particular areas of expertise, particularly to survive and thrive in the areas where they were. And I think what we have done is we have made these things where we talk about, I even mistakenly said the word, where we say, well, because I can do this, that makes me as a ontologic being superior to this next guy. And that is not God, that's us.
Okay. So since we've looked at the biological factor, right? We look at the societal factor to a certain extent, right? Because again, do we then agree that race is not a biological thing, but it's more something that society has inflicted upon us? Or how would you view that? How would you view race? Is it biology or is it
I
society?
can hear a whole lot of people saying right now, what do you mean it's not biologic? Of course, the color of my skin is biologic.
Right. Well, time out. Yeah, because I'm looking at if you're looking at humanity, right, compared to apes, right, we have 99.99. Was it? Okay, I'll get this right. 99.91% difference. I mean, that we have this in common. Almost 100%. Right? That 0.01% is what makes the external, if you'll make up that racial divide, if you will. It's such a small percentage of who we are as a human race, right? So that 0.01%, is that such a thing to consider when we then look at each other to say you are loved by God or not loved by God, you're favored or not favored? Because again, you do have people out there, you do have different organizations, you do have certain religions that will preach and teach that 0.01% will make you inferior, not favored by God, or even cursed by God. So looking at the racial aspect of it, because again, we do look at the outside while God looks at the inside, right? As men, and I'm not trying to make this sexual, right? But as men, we look at a woman and we look at her first to see if she's appealing to our sight, right? And then other factors come in later on. So the visual for us as men, it's the first thing that we may see of the opposite sex, right? It doesn't mean that's the only thing, but that's the first, right? So when it comes to God, is that the first that he sees? Again, you do have certain groups and certain religions out there that would say, yes, that is so. God favors, lighter skin for, let's say, the Mormons, right? The Mormons, they believe that we were cursed, that the sign of the curse is the darker skin, right? Then
you won't find a Mormon saying that today.
Yeah, but it's part of their history. they try to hide it all they want.
Put it out there, bro. I know where you're talking about. But,
but then you also have groups like the KKK or the New Conservative Movement, whatever, right? Who believes that because of the color of your skin that you are inferior, right? You have groups out there like the Nation of Islam, right, who believes that the white man is the devil. You have groups like the Hebrew Israelites who believe that blacks are superior and they will rule, and the white people will be their slaves in the kingdom to come. So you do have all these factors that look at that 0.1%, that 0.01%, and they say, yes, it is a major factor of how God looks at you and his creation.
Yeah, they do that. Yeah.
But now you had said that the Mormons wouldn't. That's not part of their doctrine today.
No, I didn't say that. I just said you wouldn't hear a Mormon say that today. I know exactly what you're talking about. What their doctrines did, but yeah, yeah. We'll see. I'll say this. Yeah, I think it's kind of a obvious position to identify humanity as a race. So that's why when I gave my kind of response, it kind of, it went down into commonalities and what you associate race with that commonality, right? Because then you start moving race into different distinctions. So, and that has come through like our sociological application of the word race, because words, as we know, right, words have their meaning based on the people or the culture that uses it. It's depending on where you are and how you apply it, right? The word has that application. So yeah, I mean, you have the human race, and as you move down into distinctions, the application of the word race moves into skin tone, moves into nationality, if we want to say nationality in the context of actual countries or nations, right? Or even you can even dwindle it down to tribes, or make it even more tribal, right? You have this race. So I think it's just all the distinctions that you apply. But to the truth, I think what you're speaking to, and I think the base of what you're speaking to is that we are all part of the human race,
Right.
which should be our perspective and our viewpoint when we are considering humanity and kind of how all those things tie together. I do, and you know what? Forgive me if I haven't looked at it in a while. I think race in the New Testament is well, is in Greek. It's genos or something like that, or genos or something like that. Anyway, I know that's where we get the word genealogy from. That's why. Right? That's the point. I'm probably butchering the Greek word. I know I'm butchering. I don't speak Greek, but I know it comes. I know the word genealogy comes from that word that race is used in the New Testament, and like if we take it in that context, when you think of genealogy, well, trace your genealogy all the way back to the first man, then we are the human race. You know what I'm saying?
See,
if you
yeah,
apply that. Go ahead. Oh, go ahead, Cap.
I'm just so much with you on that, because I mean, you know, when these things took place, you have to, and it's just like trying to correct anything that goes wrong on this planet when it comes to relationships or interracial, if you will, relationships. You end up having to go all the way back to the beginning of things to try to sort out how this went down. Okay, we're not evolutionary people. I'm not a Darwinist. I'm not saying everything that we see in our universe and everything that we talk about as we are part of the human race was the result of mindless random evolutionary forces. No, I am an intelligent designer believer, and I believe that there's a God who actually not only spoke things into existence, but it was so detailed and intricate in his ability to deal with things that he spoke and directed every development of a human being. Meaning this. When you talk about the human being, everything that we are is coded upon a small molecule or a very large molecule from a molecular standpoint called DNA. DNA encodes everything. It's language, it's words that are spoken. DNA is simply alphabets and language. And whenever you have language, you have to have somebody that wrote it. There's no language that appears in the universe or that on this planet now. If you find language written on some sand in the Sahara Desert, you know it didn't happen by random chance. You know intelligence wrote that down. I love Sally, written in the Sahara Desert on a dune. You know that didn't happen by random chance, but some intelligence did it. So I'm a strong, intelligent designer. And since he did say that he encoded this language, DNA molecule, on the DNA molecule to speak of what every person would be, or the first people would be, he said he does this so intricately, so much so that, like Colin says, the difference between human beings genetically, or from the DNA standpoint, is point and an ape. It's just like 0.001. You know, it's so intricate, so detailed that he's able to make that distinction. The first thing I got when I found that out is I got humbled to realize that from an organic or physicality standpoint, me and the ape ain't that much difference. And that's true not just of people with skin like mine, but it's true of every human being in the human race, that we ain't that much different. The difference is what we are ontologically from a spiritual or essence standpoint. That is the big difference. Our soul is not like the soul of a gorilla. That's the difference. Now, having said that, now we have to understand that there's a DNA molecule that has spoken about what everybody is. And when you start trying to make distinctions based on my skin color, my skin hue, DNA is still coding for that as well. It's coding for the type of hair I got. It's coding for how my voice is, what size my nose is, how my lips are. When you have people that are commonly coded DNA, where they have big lips, big nose, this kind of hair, this kind of stuff, you end up saying all those people that are coded that way, you put them over here and you call them a different kind of race. And then these people here, you call them a different kind of race. The people that are brighter, call them a different kind of race. Call the people over here a different kind of race, because their phenotypic or outward characteristics are distinctive, because DNA is coded for these things, right? Mm-hmm. The problem came when we, in our soulish minds, start saying, I think I'm better than that. Those guys over there with that big nose and those big lips, and the person with the thin lips and the blue eyes must be more intelligent. And we start doing those things, and that's where the problems came in. That otherwise, that would not really. It is us. It is our soulishness. It's our supernatural, or the invisible part of us, the part that is not coded on the DNA molecule. That is the difficulty.
So does God want us colorblind or color conscious? And I asked this question. There was I saw something on YouTube a while back, and it had to do with there was a y'all know a wrestling, WWE and all that stuff. There was a statement made by a wrestler, and he said something like the COO was he was favoring some talents, that's what they call wrestlers, over others because of the color of their skin. And he came on and he said that I am color blind. Then someone else came back and said, in essence, if you're colorblind, then you're not seeing me, because when people look at me, what they see is first, just like we as men, we look at women, we look at certain things in women, and that's what we like. So when you look at a person, you see someone out there, and if you see 5 people out there to say, which person are you speaking of? You say, oh, that Chinese guy, even though there may be 5 guys out there, but to make that distinction of what you're looking at, oh, I'm talking about that Chinese guy, or I'm talking about that white guy, or right? Because you've seen 5 guys. The same if you, well, I'm not gonna go there, but right, but there's certain things that you look at, and so if you don't see this, then you kind of discount the history behind this, and how, at least in this country, how this became a means of derision or division, right? Mm-hmm. So again, back to the question at hand: does God want us to be colorblind or color conscious?
Color conscious.
Mm-hmm.
What do you say, GY?
I think definitely color conscious. Yeah, it's I think when Captain was kind of given his his essay on the range of colors, I think one thing that kind of brought forth in that was the intent of the beauty of God's intent, right? Like God's intent to make things beautiful, and beauty comes in the distinction of colors, right?
Mm.
And so yeah, I think he absolutely wanted to bring for you to be color conscious in order for you to understand not only when we're talking about race, but take it even to a even more granular level. Like I need to know the difference between the yellowness of a flower in a sunflower and the leaf on a tree, right? You know what I'm saying? Just of the greenness of that, right? And just the distinctions of that. So yeah, absolutely. There's intent. He wants us to be conscious of those different things and to find the value or have the human experience of discovering the value. I think that's
Well,
really it.
okay. So if God looks at the heart, man looks at the outside, but God looks at the heart, then does he want us to, focus so much on the exterior more than the, if you will, the soul of a person? And okay, I went on
I
a
think it's
mission trip.
comprehensive.
Okay, I went on a mission trip a couple of years ago, and on that mission trip, I was the only person of color um, on this mission trip. What the heck's going on with Captain?
I don't know. I tried to put him back on, but I thought he.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Oh,
So
yeah.
so I was the only person of color on this trip,
Mhm.
and I'm interacting with people all around me, and it never. I mean, I knew it, but like it just didn't occur to me that I'm the only black person there because I was not fixating on the color of the people I was with. I was with
Really?
just, yeah, seriously. No,
No,
it's not.
I'm not judging.
It's not that I was not aware that I'm the only black person, but it wasn't something I was consciously thinking about. I was just there with brothers and sisters, right?
Lord help
And
me, man.
and so, but it had to be brought to my attention. It's, as I said, it's not that I wasn't aware of it, but in the interaction and the things that we're doing, it never occurred to me. It was not like a thing that was on my mind 24/7.
Oh, bless you, man. I got trauma, so yeah, man. If I was in that scenario, but and maybe maybe that is a traumatic aspect or whatever you want. It kind of moves even beyond an awareness for me too. Like, and there's an awareness, but then there's also a continued uh like thought of it too. Like if I'm in a room where I'm the only black person present, it's beyond just awareness. It does impact
Mm.
all those things for me too.
Hey
So
man, look, I can tell y'all some stories, man. Um,
but that's dope though. Like that's interesting because
and,
in the
and okay,
beauty of it, the truth of it, yeah, we're all human.
here is the reason why, right? Here's the reason why I don't think it was like something that was self-conscious.
Yeah.
Okay, where I was born, right? For those of y'all out there who don't know, I was born in Jamaica, right?
Wagwan.
I
Yeah.
you
Big up. Big
okay.
ups.
I'm gonna stop telling y'all that because then y'all get into this Jamaican stuff and y'all
Yeah,
sound so
Nice
everything
y'all
meeting
Irish.
sound
you.
y'all sound
Everything
horrible.
Irish.
Trust me, y'all sound horrible.
Everything Irish.
But okay, but growing up, uh, I was called, and many Jamaicans will understand. I was called a coolie, right? That's the equivalent of the N word in Jamaica, right? Even though I'm black,
Mm-hmm.
right? I am of mixed ancestry, right? From black to Asian to white to Native the Caribs and the Arawaks. Those were like the American Indians ancestry. Same line, just different location, right?
Right,
So that's kind of my ancestry. And so since I didn't have the dark skin and all that kind of stuff, and more, narrow eyes and so forth and so on, I was never really considered to be black enough, if you will. So I was called a coolie, right? And my mother too, my grand, that's just, and so being black was never a thing that I held on to, like, oh, this is who I am. It was more like, I'm just a human being. And then coming to America and then having even black Americans looking at me like, what are you? And then white folks start to look at me like, okay, you're black, which is like, now you are defining me in a way that I've never really defined myself. I'm not denying my blackness. I'm just telling you my experience. And
Mhm.
so my experience is like, I've always just been a human. Y'all the ones who designated me to be black or this or that. So when I'm
Mhm.
around people, I don't really, I can't see my color when I'm around people. I see through my eyes and I'm looking at people. I make a distinction. Yes, they're black or they're white or this and that, but that's not how I identify that person.
So I think you're speaking to the psychology of when someone says I'm colorblind, that kind of like what they're intending, right? Is it that that degree, or that I guess that plane of um consciousness, if you will, where you get to the point where that's the intent behind I'm colorblind, right?
Well, which goes to my question: does God want us to be colorblind or color conscious? I
Well,
would
that
say
complicates
that
the question then.
huh?
That would definitely complicate the question. If we're
But
talking about the intent of that consciousness, right? Right. Go ahead.
okay. But what I was saying before, is race a social construct or is it a biological construct? Because I don't think with God it's a racial construct. Yes, God did make us different, but because God is like, hey, I like variety.
Yeah.
But that variety was never meant to be a point of
A
um,
dissenter. Yeah.
yes. It was like,
Yeah.
oh
No, I
yeah,
think it's comprehensive.
there's my beautiful creature that's a little bit darker than my beautiful, you know, but they're still my children,
Mm-hmm.
I think
right?
Mm-hmm.
it's comprehensive. I think when you say it's kind of one of them either ors, I think I gotta say it's both. I think it is a social construct. Right now, we all know sin is the reason why we mess up stuff, right? But I don't want to minimize the the construct that comes, the distinction that comes with the social construct, if that makes any sense, because also you have value in every one of those spaces, right? So okay, you have the awareness of the distinction, but also there's I think where we talk about the society, the sociological aspect of it, there's an application of the distinction, right? And that's where it's like, oh, you move into culture, you move into heritage and all those other things. And I think the application of the distinction is also something to be valued. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I would give the
The question
response
is,
that it's comprehensive. Go
the
ahead.
question is, it does it hold the same value that God as God
Well, you just
does?
asked the question. You just
No,
asked that question.
no,
No.
no, 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 no. See, again, does God want us? Because again, that is the question. Does God want us to be colorblind or color conscious?
I would
Right.
I would still I would still lean color conscious. The only reason I actually like the perspective from the example that you had with the guy with on the boat and stuff like that, because it I think it even brings you to a like I think the only way I can think of it is a plane, right? A mental plane or a psychological plane where I'm aware of the difference, but I'm not, it's not bothering. Like I'm not impacted by it in such a way. I would even say, I don't know. I'm not gonna go there, but because I don't know if that's. I like the plane of psychology that you're working with, but I also think that there could be a unconscious application that even that awareness is, you're just not conscious of the impact on you. You know what I
Possibly,
mean?
I do get that, but I'm also looking at the spiritual connotation of it
Well,
because
spiritual connotation, yeah.
because you have people today, they may not ascribe to it as much as they did 50 years ago, right? The Mormons, who part of their doctrine is that the color of your skin would designate if you are loved by God or not. You have people today who are saying that God favors a certain race, and He's going to use that race to rule over the white people in the kingdom to come, and
Can
that's
we
the
make the
theology.
distinction that doctrine says that the darkness of your skin is the curse of Ham? I mean, is the curse of um
Yeah, it says Ham. It's not Ham. They say it's Ham.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
actually,
it's not
it's
Ham.
actually it says the curse be Canaan. It's not Ham.
Yeah,
And that's a
Yeah,
misread of what happened when
hey,
Noah and his family got
that's the
the
doctrine.
curse of Ham.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, but again, you do have that teaching within their congregation. You
Hmm.
do have the Hebrew Israelites who say that the Edomites or the white people are going to be our slaves in the kingdom to come. That God is a racist. So
How did the Edomites become white?
you'll have to ask
I
them
don't get
about
that.
that.
I'm sorry. I don't get that at all.
Well, I think it was like
Because the
Jacob.
black people don't have red. We don't have red-headed black people. Is that why?
Of course, my cousin. my cousin is redhead. She has freckles and everything, man.
Oh, well, never mind. Well,
You chase the
So,
DNA. You do a DNA sampling. You'll find out why.
red black people. No, I was just throwing that. Sorry, I didn't mean to disrupt.
that's okay. Uh, brother Ash, he says ta tat. I'm not sure what
I think it
stance
meant
has
to say
nothing.
that. I think it meant to say
Okay,
that
that
sentence.
that stance has nothing to do with skin color. Well, uh, brother Ash, there's a link at the top of the chat if you want to come on and express your thoughts on that.
Yeah,
But
man.
that stance has nothing to do with the color of skin. But if it does not, and I hate to put all of the Israelites in the same basket, but I've seen clips of them asking people if they know what tribe they're from, and then based on the region of the world that they're in, or you're from this tribe because you're from Haiti or you're from this place, where primarily you have people of African descent, and of course by inference is that that we are the people of God because of the color of our skin, and
Zulu
those who are not, then that they'll be, and you also have on the other side, as I said, you have the Mormons, you have groups like the KKK who believe that black people are inferior to whites,
Yeah, man.
and they
I think
do
all those.
name Jesus Christ as their Lord and Savior. You have the neocons who, and again, I'm not trying to put everybody in the same basket, but you do have these groups who are known and affiliated with racial superiority in some sense, and it's based
Absolutely.
on their view on God and religion.
But I think that's also right. I think that goes to the pride of man, right? And we kind of know all the scriptures that where it talks about, but it goes to the pride where the pride of um the identity or really self-righteousness. That's really what it is. Like the pride of that brings you into a self-righteousness that is And a lot of times it's in response to something, right? Like it's not origined. It's a response to something else. Like you talk about Arianism and that kind of not Arianism as the theological position, but just Arianism.
Right,
yeah.
The racial aspect of it, yes.
The racial aspect of it, right?
Mhm.
It is a pride and a self-righteousness that's put exclusively in there, but then you have the hypocrisies within the of all those things. So it becomes but all of those things are tied to race. Same thing with the black aspect. Same thing. It gets tied to race, and I mean, you can even go into correct me if I'm wrong, but similar things of it within the African context. You have the that started as the Zulu tribe, right? That started as an actual tribe of people, was it that became their identity with the Zulu heritage became something larger in the context to where now they are identified as their own nation, according to them, their own nation of people within a country, right? And it's like, well, when you start using those languages, or using those words in those applied contexts, it then just yields you to, okay, this is just a social construct, because now I can apply the word, I can apply nation, I can apply tribe, I can apply race to any distinction.
Well, there is a historical and social, if you will, rationale for that,
I
because
agree. That's what I'm saying.
when okay, those lines on the map that we currently have were not drawn by the indigenous people. You have a line that separates people, and now these are called different countries, right? So
Yeah.
where you have the Zulus, or you have the Zulu, I forget which other tribes are part of that South African area,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
But you have Angola, you have South Africa, you have all these countries, but they were never divided that way according to the lines drawn by the Europeans.
Right.
They
Right. So
they
it's not
dissected tribes and people groups. And so
yeah.
within various countries, you'll have that distinction. So I can see why someone may say, I'm from this tribe, or I'm from that tribe, and they more associate with that base, even within that geographic location that may be designated as country X,
Well, would
right?
you
But the
say is
person,
that social, or is
that's social. Yes,
that's
that's
social?
social. Yes,
Yeah.
right.
So that's why
Because
I'm saying that it becomes that's why this was responding to the social, and then the application of the word, because it's all about the context of how you use it. So that's why it's like they will identify themselves, and you go back and you try to take those applied context and read them into scripture. You're going to read it in error. That was the loop that I was closing on. That is that you're taking the societal applied context of these words, and then you read that context into the scripture, where now race or nation or tribe is then is then, I don't want to say skewed, but you've taken your current cultural context into that, instead of allowing the reading and the cultural context in scripture to read out to you, right? So that's why I was making that distinction of, like, when you say race, I mean, it depends on if you're in America or if you're somewhere else, right? It depends on, or if you say ethnicity, it's all of that's why I think it's also. And then to answer the final question, and I'm gonna shut up. Do I think God wants us to be colorblind or color conscious? I will respond with yes, color conscious, because there, in your consciousness, you have an awareness of the distinction. You have the choice to have an appreciation of the distinction. And I think also from the social construct aspect of it, because the societal aspect is only based on our relation or the community that it's applied to. And I think within those communities that it's applied to, you have culture that's generated. And I also think that there's an appreciation in the culture that's generated, because when there is when there is an environment that's established and an atmosphere that's established by the commonality of people, I think that's an aspect of a beauty of God. Right.
Yeah, but when the things that we have in common becomes a reason for being divisive, right? For example, when you have in this country, that's always the bottom line. That's always the bottom line. But then you have people who are saying, "I believe in Jesus Christ as my Lord and Savior," right? But then you have these same people who are supposed to be saved, sanctified, and filled with the Spirit, believing, even if they're not saying it verbally, but their actions betray their innermost person, that these people should not be here because of this and this, right? So again, they're looking at the outward person, not at the inner person. So their color consciousness causes them to miss who God is, I believe. Because when you begin to say, I believe in Jesus, I believe in, I believe that he died on the cross for my sins, and one day he's coming back and I'll be with him one day in heaven. But yeah, there'll be other folks there who'll be inferior to me. There's a problem.
That's wild.
Yeah, but that is a problem that we're now having to face on this side of heaven.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So, so I keep going back to that question: does God want us to be colorblind? Or I do hear what you're saying, that there is a form of let's see, how can I say this in my own words? The diversity, the diversity among us should be a sign of how God is. He has made us so different, but still the same, right? God didn't have a cookie cutter stamp that he made us all to look the same. God likes diversity, so yes, I think we should all be happy within that diversity. I should be able to look at my Asian brother and say, yeah, that's a brother, and look how beautiful God made him.
Here's a question.
I can do the same thing for my Caucasian, or my African, or the whole plethora of human beings, and just say, look how wonderful our God is, and not to look at that person and say, oh, their skin is yellow, man. That means that they're supposed to be our servants, or they're less inferior, they're less superior to me. They're somewhat below the scale of what is prime meat, if you will.
Prime meat. Here's the question.
More inferior cut, yeah.
I'm interested in you guys' response. I mean, Doc, you gave the you gave such a beautiful biological aspect of it, and I want to kind of lean towards a spiritual question. I'm just interested in your response. Is there a correlation between sin and color?
Meaning cause of color being the cause of sin, or what?
No, is there a correlation?
No. There isn't. There, not in the least. Now,
just apply your rationale behind that response.
Okay, the Bible speaks in terms of light and dark, not in the sense of the color of a person, but the spiritual context in which that person's living. Light, not in color of skin, but just, if you will, if you look at creation existence, right? We as human beings, we function better in the light. That's why we tend to sleep when it's dark, right? So, but we have taken these things now to now say the lightness or the darkness of a person would then indicate the lightness, if you will, the more angelic. With the Mormons, the lighter you are, the more angelic you are. The darker you are, the more cursed you are. Right? Because again, the Bible does speak in these terms, but it's not in a racial term. It is in a spiritual term. And how open are you to the truth of God, light and dark? And so we have taken these things to, I guess, to then say, okay, because God speak in these terms, and now sin, as you said, is a catalyst for us to then take these distinctions and then apply them in a way that God never intended us to apply them.
Hmm. What did you say, Captain? Is there a
I-
correlation between sin and skin?
Yeah, skin and skin. The K. Take the K out. Yeah. I actually agree. I agree with what's been said. Because you have biblical symbolism that talks about light and darkness, and how everything that God is light and in Him is no darkness at all. You got multiple scriptures that talk about things like this, and then you got somebody taking the ontological development of man and reading the book of Genesis and reading that God said, because of what Ham saw, that he's cursed, and the Bible doesn't say that. It actually says, "Cursed be Canaan." And the curse was not that his skin would be blighted with darkness, but that his people, that would be the Canaanites, would be subject to an inferior. He predicted their future, that they would find themselves rebelling against God and being a subservient people that would eventually be nearly wiped out of existence. So it had nothing to do with the hue of Cush, Ham's descendant, and nothing to do with Ham's color. So you got the Bible. You got the Bible giving the symbolism of light being wonderful and darkness being horrible. Remember when Malcolm X movie came out, he talked about, that's what Malcolm was looking at. Look at all that. You can tell that all these things are saying that if you're dark skinned, the more darker you are, the more closer to sin you are, because everything that's associated with sin is always dark and outer darkness, and it's going to be black. It's going to be, you hear these things, and the people with our skin are hearing that and saying, see there, that's the problem. It's not that God said this. It's that men have interpreted that statement, talking about something strongly spiritual and supernatural, bringing it to earth, saying, oh, I don't have to really work hard. If your skin is dark, you're bad, and if your skin is bright, you're good. So let's make this real easy. That what mankind has done is why we have the problem that we have. So no, there was never to be a correlation with skin color, which is of no personal development or choice by any individual. It is a genetically programmed process to the decision-making process and the spirituality that's involved in sin, which is a supernatural disease that can affect what we deal with in the physical world. But it's supernatural that affects the natural.
Can you point to biblical examples that support this?
Support that sin and skin are different? Or that there's not a correlation between the two of them? But we just talked about the supposed correlation and where it came from. We're saying, what I'm saying is the correlation that we have conjured, we made that. It's not Bible. We did it.
I have a hypothetical. Hypothetical, and I believe.
By the way, GY Slick, he already got the answer to this in his head.
No, well, okay. There are those of us who ascribe to the notion that the white people are the devil or the curse and so forth, and they go to the mark of Cain.
That was the other one, the mark of Cain.
And that Cain was given a mark, and if you look at from Adam to his descendants, because Adam and how he is described, Adam is from clay, red man, right? And so his offspring, Cain, when he was cursed and placed that mark on him, so that when he goes out, men would know that they should not kill him. there had to be something that was distinct from the, if you will, his original state. So if you're looking at his mother and father who were of darker complexion, right? Then you also have to look at Cain, that maybe the mark that was placed on him had to be something that would contrast against his the state that he was naturally born in, which would be that, he, again, I'm being facetious now.
No,
because you do have people who believe this, that the
Yeah.
mark of Cain is the mark of the white man.
Yeah.
That was given to, Cain and his descendants, that they would be marked forever as evil. The same way you have on the other side. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say that was kind of the leading of the question a little bit, because there's arguments on both sides that color has a correlation with sin, right? There's arguments with the curse of Ham, and then there's arguments with the curse of Cain, right? So then it's like, well, and then you're using scripture with like you said, with this read in context to then support that. And I mean, the truth of the matter is, right, like if we go to Genesis 1:26 through 28, right, where we have the image of God that's made, and then everybody goes to all these different things. Everyone goes to all these different things of what does imagery mean, or likeness, but whatever your, because I don't want to get into that argument, but whatever your description of image and likeness, or kind of what you correlate that to, it is singular in humanity, right? And then when we look at examples of the I guess appreciation of God in the distinction or in the wholeness of humanity, you have so many distinctions, but I mean examples. But one that I can think of is the fall of the coming of the Holy Spirit in the book of Acts, right? Where in that example you have several different races or nations or even tribes of people that were present, and the Holy Spirit fell on all of them, right? Even to the point where in that moment, the distinctions and the social constructs that were applied were recognized, but also there was a unity in it, even to the point to where they said we know that they're different. He's speaking in a different language, but I hear him in mine, right? So you have these diverse complexities at play, but all within a unity, and the Holy Spirit's bringing all of it together. Like so it's kind of one of the dopest moments in Scripture, because it's like it has the distinctions and the wholeness all present, united in God and in what He's doing at that time. Same thing with the heavenly aspect. Now, the reason, I'll bring this example, but the reason I kind of shy away because people don't want to take Revelation serious. But
what? You going to Revelation 7?
Yeah, people don't want to take Revelation. They'll be like, that's prophecy, or that's high symbolism, or that's high imagery, or all these different things. But John explicitly writes from the words of Christ that he saw diversity in heaven,
untaken away, undone away with.
Yeah. Exactly. So there is no. Yeah. So even in the glorified state that we will be in and that we'll see, that you still retain the distinction of color, which also means that not only is it intentional by God, but it's part of Him, right? Because we are made in the image and likeness of Christ, of God, and Christ is the visible image of the invisible God, right? So we have all these things, and it's just like, I would utilize those biblical aspects, and I can put the scriptures in the chat specifically, but I would utilize those biblical aspects to show that there is a comprehensive aspect of God wanting us to have the consciousness of the difference, but also the appreciation and the unity that's in him. Especially like same as with the book of Acts and how the Holy Spirit came. The same thing in heaven, and how there's all these different nations and races and all these things present, all unified and glorifying Christ.
Right. Okay. Now there is that distinction, correct? But then there's also the belief. I'm sorry?
I say, don't give me no buts. Don't say but.
There's also the belief that there are certain features which are prevalent in biblical history. They are prevalent even in the eternal, right? If you look at the description of Christ in his glorified state, hair like sheep's wool, all the kind of stuff. Feet like
is that
right? Okay, but now these are okay. So the question is: are these physical characteristics, or are they symbolic of his nature?
100% symbolic, man. Because
true. But how would you then convey that to somebody who believes? No, see, the Bible teaches that Jesus is black. So how would you convey that difference between what you're reading, right, in a symbolic way to highlight certain characteristics that he has, and the person who reads it and say, no, these are physical characteristics?
If I would hop in at any moment, Captain. If I was to point to something, there is a long line of theological arguments you can make, right, of like what each of the symbolism means, making the whole argument of Revelation and the symbolism there. Because then I would say point to any other aspect in Scripture where it gives physical representation of Christ. You'll be like, I don't know. Well, hey, what about on the Mount of Transfiguration, right? Where in the aspect of when Christ was present before men, and you have this is not a vision, this is a physical outplaying, because Peter also writes about it in First Peter, where he talks about we didn't make up these things, we didn't make up clever stories, and he talks about specifically
yeah,
where he talks about specifically what he witnessed on the Mount of Transfiguration, right? So you have multiple accounts of this event in Scripture that take place by this person, right? So, or actually two people, because you have it by two separate authors. But when on the Mount of Transfiguration, right, we talk about this, that what did Christ become? No, he became light. He became light. So if we want to talk about the glorified state of Christ in a physical representation of him, it's light. It's pure light to the point of where and what is and how, and if we want to point back to Revelation and correlate that aspect, when you look at the heavenly scene, when everything is in this glorified state, it said that the light comes from God. So the reason that we have light is not from it, it's coming from God. So if we want to, I would make the argument to that person, that individual, of, give a full-throated, full biblical case of why these are exclusively the physical attributes of Christ, and let's see if it stands up to other aspects in Scripture, because there's no other that unless you want to, if you want to say that that's actual physical representation, not symbolism, and according to the records of the book of Revelation, then I think you kind of fall on a little bit of a weak argument compared to
in Daniel chapter 7, I believe, where it looks at the Ancient of Days, and it kind of describes him the same way. Of course, later on it talks about the Son of Man, right? But what the Ancient of Days doesn't also speaks of him having hair like sheep's wool and so forth, which is not a symbolic. Well, it could be.
It's symbolic. We're talking about a vision. You compare the vision, which vision, which in the same book that also Daniel, that has a lot of symbolism of him actually.
Yeah, this is
interpreting
Revelation
vision.
chapter 1. I just wanted to put this up there. Revelation chapter 1. Yeah. Because in verse 14 it says the hair on his head is were white like wool, like snow. His eyes were like flames of fire. His feet like burnished bronze. So that's at least two parts of his anatomy, if you will. The hair like sheep's wool, his feet like burnished bronze. And I've heard people say that if you take that description and you then look at the racial makeup of the planet, which racial group would fit that description? And
Sound like black people.
Yeah, so you would eliminate the Asians and the Caucasians, basically, right? So again, look, I do not believe that that's so, but we have to contend with people who believe that this is the physical representation of their God, that he is a black man. And then, of course, if you go to Daniel chapter 7, also speaks of the Ancient of Days looking the same way. Hair
So
like
God, so are we also saying that God has hands? Are we also saying that God, was walking in the midst of the garden? Like, are we also saying that, like that when Adam was in there and he was hiding, it said God was walking in the midst of the garden? Are we saying that God, was putting his feet down on the ground? Like,
well, there are theophanies, Christophanies, and things like that takes place, so that can be explained. But I'm saying not so much, because even in that instance, it doesn't say that this God who's walking in the midst of the garden looked a certain way. It was just a blanket statement. God walked in the cool of the day. Didn't say he had hair like this and feet like that. Just said God walked, right?
Well, yeah, and it's
So
going
that could be a theophany, Christophany, whatever the case may be. But in the descriptive parts where it does speak of him in this way, and again, I do not believe this, but you do have those out there who say yes, and their theology is based on that. Part of their theology say yes, see, God is a black man.
So okay, and also this is what I'm saying. Like, if you're gonna make the argument, you gotta push the argument all the way. If you want to push this heavily anthropomorphic argument of God, push it all the way. So when Moses was hiding in the cleft of the rock, did God literally put his hand on the back of him? So like, was that happening? That God covered Moses in the rock with his hand? Did that happen?
Yeah.
Yes, he did.
Yes, he did.
Because it was God's hand. Yeah.
Because now, if God can hold all existence in his hand, can he not also take that hand to cover a person? Now again,
it's language so that we can do and understand, right? It's language that we understand what it means to hold something in the hand. If God actually gave it to us in the aspect that is heavenly, we wouldn't understand, because we'd be like, how do you hold stuff without a hand? You know what I'm saying? Like, it's the where did that come from?
That's me.
What color is it? Light. I just said that. I already said that.
Because now you see how quickly we ascribe color to it.
Yes, this is because of our limitations. Is what we do as human beings, and I want to feel, every race, every ethnic hue, or every human group with different hues is seeking to paint their God in their own image, so they can be comfortable with him, identify with him, and serve him. And it boosts my sense of my own self-esteem. And God is like, I'm not boosting your self-esteem. I'll give you my esteem, and I'll tell you who you are. What I say about prophetic and apocalyptic literature, you got to be very careful what you do with it. You said it earlier, Revelation 1, when in the descriptor of the divine Christ having risen from the dead and his glorified body that he will have forever, he modeled, and what he shows you in Revelation chapter 1, He's repeating what had already been prophesied in Daniel chapter 7. He does that deliberately so you can be no mistake as to who's talking. So apocalyptic literature or prophetic literature is always going to say, like it says in the beginning of the book of Revelation, it assumes that you've read the rest of the Bible and that you know the descriptors that have already been given. So when Jesus is identifying himself in Revelation number 1, he's saying, if you remember, you've seen this before, the Ancient of Days in Daniel chapter 7, same dude. Don't get it mixed up. I'm also going to say that I love what GY said, because when you talk about God and you talk about him light, and when the Mount of Transfiguration, Jesus shows himself as he truly is, he shows us light, then we know that the distinctions that we make of all the colors only come if we apply a prism to it. Light in and of itself, light has all the colors of the universe and everything that the mantis shrimp can see. Light has all those colors in it, and you can only see those colors if you use a prism to separate the light out. So if you want to talk about God being light, let's talk about the fact, yeah, he's black, he's also white, he's also Mexican, he's also Chinaman, he's also Indian, and if there's somebody green, he's also Martian, he's also, and if you want to put him, he's also UV, he's also infrared, he's also, you check him across the spectrum, he's got all those colors covered because he's God and he's light and there's no darkness at all in him. And even the parts you can't see are not darkness to him. So if you want to go make these arguments, you're going to find yourself back in the same place, knowing that I've wasted my time trying to make distinctions. The only purpose for making a distinction is so I can enjoy the different hue you have versus the one that I have. That's the only real benefit in looking at what color you are versus what color I am. Because God deliberately intends us to rejoice over all of these distinctions. But what we have done is in an effort to boost our own sense of ourselves, is to boost one distinctive over another. And that's not the nature of light. In the nature of light, every part of that, every part that is separated in that prism is all on equal footing and all authorized and invented and created by God. If we could just get straight that every man, every woman is made in the image of God, that takes us to a mentality that says, and if you want to use color blindness for everything, use it for this, that every person you see is made in God's image. I do not see anything that any man, any woman, any group that is not made in the image of God. And now I'm going to take that. Now, since I'm going to accept that, and that's the only color blindness that I'm walking in, that every person, there's not a person I will say is not made in the image of God. I'm going to use the distinctiveness that's between us and consciously see that I'm so glad that Oriental guy, and I've listened to his music, I've eaten his food, and I've looked at his culture, and I love the way they live and have their different scenarios. I mean, I have the different types of ways of expressing what they love to eat and what they value, and their music and their language. And I'm loving these differences, from my own. And I hope they'll love me, because we define cool for the whole planet. And I know people don't like that, but it's true. Everybody wants our cool, but they don't want to be us. But they definitely want our cool. What I'm saying is, every one of us, every one of the tapestry that God has painted, when you look at it all, he's doing this so we can embrace and enjoy and share it. The last thing I'll say is this. Some of the best moments I've ever had in fellowship was when I was in a place and I listened to, and we were in a place of multi-ethnicity, where I heard people pray in their own language, and I had a service where every culture was represented. There was some country, there was some Indian, there was some Middle Eastern stuff, there was some Jewish stuff, there was some stuff from the hood, there was some stuff from the Mormons, there was stuff from this place. In other words, Mormon Tabernacle Choir type singing, and they do beautifully deliver music, right? Instead of saying, oh, that's Mormon, I don't want to hear that, I'm absorbing and taking in the beauty that God allowed every group to put in this planet. I'm not going to argue. I'm not going to argue about any of that. Jesus is Lord of all. Jesus is the one that is light, and in whom there's no darkness at all. We need every one of us, whatever hue we come from. He is the light, and he's the only light that will ever exist. And you must understand, we must understand and accept that everybody else is being drawn to that light, and it's our desire that people will be drawn to the single light source in the universe, and that's Jesus himself.
Amen.
Now, I said all that. I'm gonna ask you a question because I actually need you guys to help me to answer a question. Here's the question I got. You know Rwanda, right? You know Rwanda, the nation in Africa, right? There was a genocide that took place among the Hutu and the Hutu and the Tutsi, right?
Mm-hmm.
Aren't both these groups the same skin?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What happened? What was that? They were the same. How is it that one group, same color, same hair, same lips, same nose, same everything? What was the distinction between the two, that one was a cockroach and one was worthy of being saved, or one worthy of ruling? What happened in Rwanda?
We will always find means to divide amongst each other. Look at even Sudan. They created a brand new country about 10 years ago, South Sudan. Now they are in a war between North and South. They were the same people 15 years ago. Right, 20 years ago, I believe, or somewhere around there. Right, they were the same nation. They divided based on, I believe, religion. Same color, same ancestry, but one believed this, one believed that. So they split that country into North and South, and now North and South are fighting.
So then it becomes tribal then.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, same thing in Rwanda.
Yes.
It was a religious distinction.
In Sudan, in Sudan, yes.
In Rwanda, what was it?
It's a tribal.
It's tribal. It becomes tribal. So then it's associations. So yeah, well, going back to the societal.
Okay. Look at it this way, right? We have two tribes in the U.S., right? We have the Republican tribe and the Democratic tribe.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
And now
Bloods and Crips, but that's okay too. I was definitely going Bloods and Crips.
Bloods and Crips. Okay. Bloods and Crips. Okay.
No. Okay. I'm going with the Democrats and Republicans. Those are and we do have some independent and green, but the two major ones are the Republicans and the Democrats.
Red and blue.
We divide based on which one do you associate with. Are you a liberal or are you a conservative? Are you left or you're right? Are you this? And it's like, but are we not the same nation of people? Right? So people may look across the seas and say, the Hutus and the Tutsis and the South Sudan and North Sudan and all that kind of, but we do the same thing here. We just haven't come to the point of picking up arms yet. And I say yet because but it is the same thing. Right? It's the same. We make distinctions based on what we favor and what we disapprove of.
Yeah, man.
I just kind of got messed up because both of them are dark skinned like me, got hair like me, nose like me, mouth like me, and
that's what I said. It's tribal, and then it goes to the block, right? It's tribal. It's associated. Our skin colors, our anythings aren't different, but based on the color that I wear can determine my position.
Look, based on the color that I wear.
But no, okay. Look at the Native Americans. You had the Apaches, the Comanches, the Sioux, the Iroquois, and they were fighting against the same people, but they were fighting against each other.
Tribal,
right?
For land and property and good and stuff like that.
Well, for more territory and influence,
Power.
Yeah, power. There you go. Power. Yes, power. And
Power.
all of these conflicts, it's about the same thing. And even with the racial distinction between blacks, whites, and all, it's about power.
Every bit of it.
Yeah.
Every bit of it.
So
Yeah, you're good in that,
i-
bro.
is it better to be color blind or color conscious?
I'll read this. I'll read this. Because colorblind theology refuses to acknowledge racial distinctions, it also simultaneously refuses to address sinful disparities that are constantly taking place. And there are
Hmm.
people now that will tell you, "Oh, I don't see color." No, that means you don't see what you've done.
Hmm. Yeah.
That don't.
Yeah,
It means you don't see what you agree with. I mean, what your silence has allowed to take place. You don't acknowledge the benefits and the wondrous things, but you also don't acknowledge the horrors that have occurred that have been perpetrated as a direct result of the distinction you made between me and you.
Okay. So how would you kind of answer this part? First Samuel chapter 16.
for the Lord does not see, for the Lord sees not as man sees. Man looks at the outward appearance, but the Lord looks at the heart.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
You think I don't even know if this one kind of moves into you know a correlation of skin tone or anything like that. It's just
Well, no, it's not so much skin tone, but it's
no,
how
no, no.
men it's how
I
it's how,
would
it's how men look at other men to make distinction if they're worthy or not, if they're favored or
right,
not, which
right,
True.
which which will include for us today, and even maybe that back then, the color, because they did call David ruddy, which meant that he wasn't really clean cut and all that kind of stuff, but
or
more
he was black.
rugged. I'm sorry.
I said, or he was black.
Yeah, or yeah, more rugged in appearance. He worked outside, so he was under the sun and all that kind of stuff. So, but they
But
were
what I was saying,
they had the same mother and father. So,
yeah, what I was saying is that you made the exact point, right? It is that it speaks to the social application of the environment or the community, right? That you because the reason this is because, right? I mean, the verse right before it is because there is there is a social construct that comes with tall guys who have a particular look, right? Like there's a community response to, oh, this person looks like this, that must mean XYZ, or that must be like you fit something. So God is even speaking specifically, right, to a misapplication of the awareness of a distinction. He's speaking directly to the misapplication of it because he's saying it doesn't matter, right? I'm
hmm.
looking at the
Right,
heart. So that's what.
but
Uh-huh.
right, but
Uh-huh.
exactly. So where we look at that point zero 0.01 difference in humanity, and then we kind of say favored or not favored because of that. God says, forget all that stuff. You look at the outer man. You don't see as God sees, because I look inwardly at the person. I look at the heart of a person, not the fact that they may be tall, short, fat, skinny, black, white, Asian, Chinese, whatever. Right? That's your distinction to separate amongst each other. So whatever that distinction you're looking at as the outer person, as what you physically see, beyond the physical, God is saying, I don't look at that. Do I discount that? No, I don't. But
Not me.
that's not the barometer by which I measure you. So if that's what God does, why can't we do the same thing? Not to discount the outer, but to highlight the inner more than the outer.
It takes the process of getting to know people, and we lazy. And I
Do
don't
you have
mean we
but
as
do you have to know
humans.
somebody to love them? Do you have to know somebody to love them as a child of God? I'm not saying child of God in creation. I'm not talking about even salvation at this point in time. Do you have to know somebody to just look at the person and say, you're a child of God and I love you? regardless of what you look like.
No, because when it comes down to even the moral aspect of it, humans don't want other humans to die. Like the basis moral aspect of it, right? Like you don't want you there's something wrong when another human dies, despite whatever, right? There's something wrong about that. So yeah, like at the basis of it, yeah, man, we should. Yeah, that means you have value. There's something value that God value, which means that if there's an inherent aspect of your own moralism that knows humans shouldn't die, you know, I think that answers your question, right? Like, no, there's value there. We should. You're absolutely right. We should, man.
I don't know. I don't know whether I'm a devil's advocate or not, but I believe you got to get to know somebody before you love them.
Really?
Yeah. What I'm saying is this. What I'm saying is, how did we come to love Jesus Christ? Because we got to know him. You know, again, I'm a Matthew 4:19 guy. You know? And if I'm a Matthew 4:19 guy, he says, "Follow me," and I don't know. When I start following him, I don't know nothing.
What is that? What is that? What do you call, if not love, or even a metric of it, if you grieve the loss of a life, even if you didn't know them? What do you call that?
What do you call it other than grief?
No. What do you call that? Define it, like, because what I'm making the argument that even in the basis of that aspect, that's love.
Yeah. Okay. For example, Captain. For example, you see on the evening news, right, that somebody did something horrendous to a child, right? Your heart goes out to that child because of the loss of a life or the abuse or whatever. You don't know that person from Adam.
Right.
But there's something internal that says, man, you know, I grieve that loss, or I grieve that abuse, but you don't love them, do you? Of course you do, but you've never met them. That's what we're talking about as far as loving somebody without knowing them, because they're made in the image of God.
Is that whatever metric that is, whatever that response quotient of, oh man, if that's not love, I don't know what it is.
Okay. Can you love somebody without knowing them? Okay, I'm gonna capitulate and say, yeah. Okay, God is love. God is love. God is love, and God is loving, and I am His child by the Holy Spirit. I'm born into His family. He's given me, applied to me, that kind of love which I don't possess. He gives me that. In that, yeah, because I got that from Him. Naturally, I don't know that I would do that, but supernaturally, because of what God does, yeah, yes.
But I might push you a little bit more.
Go ahead.
Me too. Because
I might even push you a little more.
You have people right now. You have people right now, Captain, who do not say that they have placed their faith in Christ. But yet they would see people suffering, and they would be willing to lend a hand, if you will, say, you know, let me give some money, or let me do this just to alleviate that person's suffering. But if you ask them, well, are you believing Jesus Christ? No, I'm not. My heart just goes out to that call, right, if you will.
Right.
I would speak.
And that's not agape. That's not.
No. I'm not even getting to that. I'm getting to the basis.
That's
we're talking about creation. We're talking about creation, because I think we moved into the spot of human race, right? We're in human race, right?
Is that where we are? Okay.
Right. So the reason why I go to the Romans chapter 1:20, right? Chapter 1 verse 20, where he talks about that there are things in creation that God, the invisible,
God's invisible attributes are
that He made. Let's go. Hold on.
Clearly seen, being understood by the things that are made.
So I think I would even argue, and this, when you go into a theological aspect, that's taught like that's the general revelation of God, right? That even in the basis of those pieces, that's love. That is the general grace and general revelation and general presence of God that is causing humanity to grieve the loss of life, or is causing even humanity to seek out love. Like those aspects are the proof and presence of God, right? So I'm also saying that there are, at the basis level, yeah, man, we do. What happens is, because of sin, and right, because of sin, that, as you were talking about, we misinterpret the constructs. Yeah, there's the scripture. For his invisible attributes. Well, actually, go 19. For what can be known about God is plain to them. But actually, let's go back.
18, yes, start at 18.
Yeah, for the wrath of God is revealed from heaven against all ungodliness, unrighteousness of men, who by their unrighteousness suppress the truth. Oh man, that, praise God for the Holy Spirit. For what can be known about God is plain to them, because God has shown it to them. For his invisible attributes, namely his eternal power and divine nature, have been clearly perceived ever since the creation of the world. And see, like, when you grieve the loss of a life, even if you don't know him, that grief of whatever that is the God graced metric of love that you're experiencing in that aspect. And now, how do I explore this? How do I understand what this is? How do I move to it? That's where you move towards God and saying, okay, like, God, what's the answers here? Like, how do I understand it? That's the aspect that moves you and draws you to him. But some people suppress that. You're like, oh, that's sad. But if you pay attention to that, you pay attention to the desire and the need to feel valued by someone, that's God's presence in all those things. And we can love, even if it's to the basis metric or however you want to identify that quotient, whatever that is. I believe that's love.
Okay, so let's get to the climax of this and the crux of this dilemma. How do we deal then with people who would look at the exterior, that 0.1% difference in humanity, and make that a majority or a priority in their lives as far as how they deal with their brothers and sisters in creation?
It's a response to pain, man.
Yeah, well, you still have to deal with them, and it's not always pain. It's not always pain, because there are people out there, man. Like, okay, what pain are people from that's involved in the neo-Nazi, the KKK, Proud Boys? What pain are they feeling? You know, what is it that's driving them?
The devaluing of themselves, the world's devaluing of them.
To some extent, yes. But there is a history. There's a history with neo-Nazi. There's a history with the KKK. It's not a devalue of them. It's that when others are getting, if you will, the recognition that they're not animals, that they're in the family of humanity, that something about them rebels against that. It's not their pain of loss.
It does. It is, though. It is. It's just that. It is actually. It is the pain of loss. It's the.
What are they losing?
So, you got me over here arguing for white people.
No, I'm asking you to argue from the point of God, from the perspective of God. What are they losing that their hearts are now looking at you and people in general based on that 0.1% difference?
I feel less valued. So now I have to take my value. I have to impose my value. I have to show you my value. Now, we talking about from God's perspective, right? Mm-hmm. Like, So God, this is the beauty about Christ, is that he sees the pain, and he also knows what's needed intrinsically to heal it, right? But all of that does come from sin. But I'm just saying though that you talk about all those guys, KK, it is from a sense of pain, man. Hurt people, bro.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that. I just can't see, like, okay, what what pain were the Mormons feeling when they said because of the color of your skin you are cursed? What pain were they feeling?
If it is, I can't get specific because it
Right.
could be anything. You know what I'm saying?
Which I wouldn't make the commonality between all these pain. I would make maybe a desire to feel superior in some ways.
Right. It's a power grab.
Yeah.
Where does that source from?
Sin.
Yeah.
Sin,
Yes.
yeah. But let's stay emotional, right? Let's. Where does that source from? Where does my need to rise come from?
You're right. It's from my lack of being risen. It's from
my inferiority.
It's from how I feel about myself. So either I don't have it, or in particular, the way I'm going to do it, it's been taken from me.
And how would you define that?
Like you said, exactly, just like you said. That's my loss, my sense of loss, my sense of lack. I'm going to take this back. It was taken from me. I'm going to take it back.
That's not pain?
Yeah, that's pain.
I'm talking to him.
Oh.
Look, I don't disagree that people experience pain in their lives, right? But now your pain is not the same as my pain. So what is it that would make you and I come together and say, let's go and oppress them because you and I had pain in our lives? No, that cannot be the what's prevalent, right? Even though it's there. No. Okay, Captain has said it. It's a consequence of sin that cannot be erased from us.
Why did Cain kill Abel?
Was he in pain?
Yeah.
Because he was rejected, right?
That's pain.
It's pain, man. It's pain.
I just you know what? I may come to that. I may accept it to a certain extent.
What would you call it? What do you call it?
I would call it sin.
It is sin. But how is it expressed? If he says, "What's wrong with you? I'm hurting," he's not going to call it sin. He's going to call it pain. And since I'm hurting people always hurt people. Since I'm hurting, I'm gonna pass my hurt on to you, and I'm gonna hurt you. Because I believe by hurting you, I can lessen my pain.
Loving people won't like a fully loved person, right?
I just can't narrow it down to the least common denominator is pain. The
least common denominator is sin.
Yes, but
yeah. Sin.
Right, but you speak of Cain. Why did Cain kill Abel? You say because of pain, right? Mm-hmm. But no, it's because his offering was rejected. It's an internal issue, which yes, it can.
Okay, yeah. And what was the response?
It was hate and anger, which was murder.
So, how do you identify hate and anger? The source of hate and anger. I know we're talking about sin. Yes, blanket sin position. How do you identify? Because
desire.
Psychologically, you can look in the DSM, whatever number it is. It tells you that hate and anger is a secondary emotion.
Then I would say it's desire for, right? Whatever that thing that you're lacking may be, right? More than pain.
The
I
identity
I
of
I I, I desire what you have. I
okay.
desire the status
Why?
that you have because again, because of sin.
No,
So
no, you playing with me.
no, 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 no.
You playing with
No. You're
me.
saying
Wow.
it's pain, right? And I'm saying no. It's a desire. Again, why would you go to a country, a continent that you have never seen before, and look at these people and say, "Oh wow, they make good cattle or chattel." It's a desire. It's not because of some pain. I'm sure everybody has pain in their lives, but it's a desire for what? Cheaper workforce, right?
Superiority.
A desire, right?
Yeah. But where
So
so next level, that's where we at. Where does the desire for superiority come from?
sin.
Yeah. In particular, pride, lust of the flesh, lust of the eyes,
So
and the pride of life.
you're saying that it doesn't come from absence. You're saying that it's just there.
It's well, I'll have to think on that. Does it come from absence?
Yeah,
That's
something that's not there,
that's that's
a
my argument.
vacancy, a hole.
I desire something because I don't have something.
Yeah, I'm trying to get it.
Or
And
okay,
my frustration of not getting
okay.
it causes my problem.
The question was asked to what's this guy's name? One of
No.
the richest men back in the 20s. Forgot his name. He was
Rockefeller?
Rockefeller. No, no, no. It was J. Paul Getty,
Vanderbilt?
I believe. J. Paul Getty.
Okay,
I
we won't
believe
need a rundown.
um, the question was asked. You are the richest man in the world. How much is enough? How much is enough? And his desire was just a little bit more. But you're the richest man in the world. How much is enough? Just a little bit more. It's that desire. It's not from a point of pain or hurt. I'm not saying he doesn't have that in his life,
Mm-mm.
but
Where does the desire come from? Where does the desire for more come from?
okay. So I can ask you the same thing. Where does the hurt come from? See, that's the kind of question you're asking. It comes from sin, right? You're saying that that after sin comes
Okay.
pain. I'm saying after sin comes desire. Now, is there pain in someone's life? Yes. Again, what is it that would drive the like what's his name Mao Zedong to kill over 3 million people? What would drive Hitler to kill over 6 million? What would cause Pol Pot to do what he did?
It's a lust for power.
Yes, there's a desire.
It's a lust. I call it. I don't
What
call it just desire. I call it lust.
Yeah,
what,
yeah.
what
And so this is the argument, right? That it it's the desire is sourced, or the source of the desire is from the place of absence, right? That's even if
I don't have it. I'm gonna get it.
even if we want to go to the to Satan, right? And you want to get to it, it's like his desire. And now we don't know his mind. I mean, we know what he wants to do. We see the results, but it comes. I'm not even gonna make that. I would just say it comes from a place of absence. I'm gonna stay there.
Yeah, God was being worshipped 24/7. He saw what it's like. He looks at himself, beautiful in glory and the most beautiful created being, and he says, "I want some of that. I don't have it. I want what he's getting.
mhm.
I believe I deserve it."
And the only thing is, I define that as pain.
Gotcha. I hear you.
I define that as because
You see that guy?
you're responding.
I want what that guy's got.
Yeah, you're responding. Power, and then of course we got the compounding of the actions of pain.
Okay.
Right? And all those
Okay,
other things.
so the ultimate one that ushered in sin is what pain did Adam and Eve suffer that they would disobey God? Because if you say
They thought that
no,
God was
they
keeping.
desired. No, they
Yeah, of course they
desired.
did. They desired something that
Yes,
they thought they didn't have. They thought they were being. I mean, the whole thing was, I think I'm being left out
but
here,
It's a
yeah,
tough
and
one.
that hurts.
It's a
but
tough one.
GY was saying pain and hurt and all that kind of stuff. Like, no, it's a desire, if you will, for what you don't have or what you want. Like J. Paul Getty. You know, how much is enough? Even though he was the richest man, I think it was J. Paul Getty. I may be wrong on that, right? But he was the richest man in the world, and they asked him how much is enough. He wasn't
I
hurting
would
for nothing. His desire was just for a little bit more.
I would make a suggestion of like an exploration of like clinical depression and like how that's defined and how that's manifested, but also the source of it, right? And it's in many cases it's sourced from a absence of something. Like I'm not getting, and sometimes it can't even be defined, but it generates a physical response and a physical, reaction to it. So it's like, even though it's not, it's what we're talking about is immaterial. It is a very presence, and I think pain is a source of the source of these things.
Okay.
But yeah, man. I mean, it's okay. It's okay. I mean,
But to me, it's kind of interesting. It's kind of interesting.
You know what I'm saying? It's B-Man keep leapfrogging over it though.
No, I'm not. I'm not saying people don't have pain in their lives. Of
I
course,
didn't
they
say
do.
that.
Yeah.
I didn't say where does the actions come from, and you're
Yeah.
saying it comes from desire.
Yeah, a
You're
desire
saying-
for desire.
And
No,
that's no
I think there's
disagreement with
just
that. That's
one
no
level deeper
disagreement
than
there. It's true.
I don't think desire origin is desire. I don't think that's the desire is not the origin.
Adam and Eve desired something because, again, something they thought God was keeping, so they desired that. Okay,
What'd you just say though?
Huh?
What'd you just say?
What did
They
I just say?
desired something because they thought
They didn't
God
have
was keeping something.
exactly. That is what
Right.
was thought. That's what
But
was
you
thought.
have been saying it's from a point of pain or hurt.
I
And
define
that-
pain. I define pain. I said
Okay.
pain. Pain is the absence, right? It starts from absence, right? It starts from the nothingness, and it's like, I don't have that. I want that. So then the reaction is what am
Okay,
I going to
so
do to get that?
Synonyms for the same
No,
thing. You're saying pain. I'm saying desire. I don't think they are, but just to be on the same accord. Because I'm saying it's desire, but you're describing my desire as pain, and I'm describing your pain as desires.
I'm just saying go one inch deeper.
Yeah, come one inch higher, man. Come 1 inch higher.
Seeing.
Good back and forth, man. Good back and forth, and I hope people listening to this will kind of they'll have their own version of it also. Hopefully.
Oh, no question.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But great discussion. And as we've been talking about this, man, I do believe next week what we're going to talk about is Satan and his origin.
Oh wow, good segue.
Satan, yeah. Satan and his origin. Who is he? There's a lot of discussion about Satan, and is he a real person? Again, people may even have an issue with calling Satan a person, like he's flesh and blood, but
True.
not person in the sense like we are, but person in the sense that he is he has a conscious. He is a rational being. Okay.
Hey man, I'm gonna be out next week.
Okay.
I hope y'all have fun. Yeah.
All right, so that's going to be our discussion for next week.
So,
man.
does
The
God-
origin of Satan, Lucifer, and so some people don't even believe that Satan is Lucifer.
Because also, like, why does God after the 1,000 years release them again?
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
there's always people that are hypocrites.
We
They'll always,
talked about that. We have talked about that when we did a study on Revelation, man.
there'll always be hypocrites.
Yeah.
And the only way to
They,
come out,
they'll all be
come out. Yeah.
they'll all be people like Judas, you know, on the
Always be
outside
pretenders.
they appear like, oh yeah, I'm with you, but behind, you know, like, oh yeah, no, they were never really with you in the first place.
There's always a backstabber. Smile in your face. So does God want us to be colorblind or color conscious?
Color conscious.
Colorblind.
Huh?
Colorblind.
Okay, me. You know, since these guys said both, I'll say both.
Oh,
and it's clear. He says, "Judge not according to the appearance, but I judge on the heart."
Look at the heart. Yeah.
Right. But he says, for every person that stops at the appearance, Gary said it a few minutes ago. If you're in this world and you're stopping at the appearance, do the hard work of digging deeper, because that's what God does. Right.
Only reason I wouldn't say blind is because of your color argument.
The color argument is clear. Anatomically and phenotypically, or not, should I say genetically or by DNA, it's clear what God's intent is. And Revelation 7, verse what is it? Revelation 7.
So no blindness.
Revelation 7 says very clearly that those people under the throne are all nations, kindreds, people, tongues. They all stood before the Lamb, clothed in white robes and palms in their hands. So in the end of things, he does not erase distinctions.
Isn't it interesting that he doesn't say that all these people were black, whites, and Chinese? He just says from all nations
and kindred,
because
and peoples and
kinds. Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly. So God wasn't really focused on, because again, if you go to a particular nation or even look, God never in the Bible spoke of a race. Now he like for example, he doesn't say I'm saving the white race or the black race, or he said my people, right? And his people are made up of all different groups. It's not just, well, he only saved the Asians, or because again Moses married a black woman, a woman of color, so their ancestry is not all black, right? And who knows what color so and so was, Abraham or
nice black.
Again, no, I'm just saying we are the ones that stuck on the racial thing. God was never stuck on it.
No.
So that's
gave it.
But he did acknowledge the distinction.
He definitely made the distinctions happen. He gave us that.
Yes, but he doesn't focus on it. That's what I'm saying. He's colorblind. He knows that there are distinctions. He is aware.
Because he's the one that did it.
Yes, and so trying to be like him, I know that there are distinctions. There are differences in people, races, creeds, and even ethnic groups. I know this, but that's not my focus. Yes,
and then go deeper. Go to the heart. Do what he does. Go to the heart.
And just to close out, I still have a friend. He has a different theology than I do, and we're having a discussion because he's very Afrocentric, right? And so I had where I was living at the time, my house, the house to my left, there was a black family living there. House to my right, there was a white family living there, and I'm in between. So we're having a discussion, and he was saying he was very Afrocentric, and the black man is my brother, and all that kind of stuff. And I'm saying, look, man, if my neighbor to my left, who's black, happen to be devil worshippers, and the neighbor to my right happen to be Christ followers, guess which one is my brother? Right?
Yeah.
So that's the distinction. I'm not saying I'm not seeing that one neighbor's black and one neighbor's white. I'm not saying I don't see that. But the blindness is that I am making a choice of, okay, I'm choosing this person not because they're white, not because I'm not rejecting that person because they're black. I know who they are.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the color blindness. I see the differences, but it's not primary to me.
You make the deep dive. We all need to make the deep dive.
I will say that that there was, I don't know, maybe I think God, even another aspect, if we go back to Acts of acknowledging the distinctions but also the unity, is Acts 1:8, where he
Oh
tells
yes.
them, right, that
Yeah.
you will receive power by the Holy Spirit come upon you, shall be my witnesses to both Jerusalem and in all of Judea and Samaria
Into
and
the
even
most
to the
parts of the
remote
world.
parts of the earth, right?
Mhm.
So it's like there's distinction, but there's unity.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yes.
And he's like, I know that these people, right? And it has to happen in this way, in this order. So, hey man, God is dope, bro.
Yeah, man.
Yes, he is.
Showing up.
I just wish we would be dope.
We
Hey
got to
man,
do it
keep
his
trying,
way.
man.
We got to
Teach
do
him,
it his way, man. Got to do it like he does it.
teach
Yeah,
him,
yeah.
teach him,
Yeah.
teach him. Oh man,
He's way
teach
Uh,
him.
past appearance. He takes it in. He made it, but he's way
yeah.
past it.
There was a song years ago. I don't even know who sang that song. Beauty is more than skin deep. Remember that
Yeah, the
song?
Temptations.
Was it
Yeah,
Temptations? Okay.
yeah, man.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, man. So
Yep.
Well, I don't know. Yeah, maybe the lyrics was a little different. I'll take it back, but it definitely was the Temptations, I think.
whoever it was, man, some theology's right there too. Yeah. They're preaching on that one.
Mm-hmm. I remember the movie.
Yeah. All right, people. It's been fun. I hope y'all get something out of this, and join us next week as we look into the origins of the devil, Lucifer, Satan, the dragon, the serpent of old, the crafty one. All these designations for the same person, or is it?
The ancient serpent, the
Yeah,
morning star.
God of
Ooh,
this
that's a name.
world,
the
That's
god
a
of
good
the
the
prince of
prince
the
of the
power of
power of the air.
yeah, the king of Tyre.
Yeah.
That was another one too.
Yeah.
Ah, he
Yeah,
had a lot of names too. Huh?
but is it the same person? That's going to be the question.
Mm.
Yeah, yeah, that's going to be come join us next week. Any final words, brothers, as we sign off?
Oh man, trust God, man.
Yes,
Hey,
sir.
oh,
Yes, sir.
here's a final word. If now this is probably terrible. I don't want to end with that.
Yeah,
I'll say if Jesus is a black,
you started something. Finish it, man.
I'll say if Jesus is a black man, he also got wool.
You also got what?
If Jesus was a black man, according to Revelation, he also got wool.
Wool. The hair like, not hair like.
Hey, if he's described as a lamb, that means he got mane too.
All right.
Oh
Well,
man. See
that
why.
being said, all right, brothers and sisters. Oh wow. StreamYard took away my closing, so I got nothing for y'all, man, except for this.
Except
I
for
got
the
nothing for you except for this. I see y'all with. Oh man, I can't even do that. Oh my goodness.
They want you to pay.
Oh yes, yes,
They'll give it back.
man.
Pay. Go ahead and pay the subscription price.
Oh man.
That depends. You still
All
there?
right. No,
She wild, huh?
huh?
She wise out, right?
Yeah, I believe